$1.74. That is the number I want you to hold in your head for the next 20 minutes, because by the time we are done here, you are going to understand exactly why that number is keeping some very serious people in some very expensive offices extremely uncomfortable right now. Last week I told you to watch the Shanghai-COMEX spread. I said if that spread broke and held above 2%, we would be in genuinely interesting territory. Here is what happened. It broke, it held. And as of this week, Shanghai is paying $86.40 for silver, while COMEX futures are sitting at $84.03. That is a 2.05% premium. And the reason that matters, the reason I pulled this together today instead of waiting, is because of what that spread is physically doing to Western silver inventories right now. Stay with me on this one. My name is John. I spent 15 years working inside currency and commodity markets before I started making these videos. I have sat in rooms where these decisions get made. I have watched what happens when retail investors get the wrong information at the wrong time. That is why I am here, and that is why this channel operates the way it does. Everything I show you today comes from publicly available sources, and I will name everyone as we go. No vague claims, no unverifiable numbers, just the data and what it actually means. If this kind of calm, data-first breakdown is what you have been looking for, hit the like button right now. It tells me to keep making these. And if you are not subscribed yet, now is the time, because what we are covering today is part of a bigger picture we are building week by week. Here is what we are getting into today. First, exactly what this Shanghai premium is and why it creates a physical drain on COMEX vaults. Second, what COMEX registered inventory data is actually telling us right now versus what the headlines are saying. And third, the one specific thing I am personally watching this week that will tell me whether this situation escalates or quietly resolves. 3 things. Let us get into it. So, where are we right now? Silver is at $84.03 on COMEX. 3 weeks ago, it was trading closer to $79. If you are holding physical silver, you felt that move. But here is the thing. The price on your screen is not the most interesting number in this market right now. The most interesting number is the one you cannot find on a mainstream financial website without knowing where to look. Shanghai is at $86.40. COMEX is at $84.03. That gap, $1.74, is not a curiosity. It is a mechanism, and that mechanism is actively pulling physical silver out of Western storage and moving it east. The question this video answers is simple. How far can that mechanism run before something gives? Drop a comment right now. Are you seeing elevated premiums at your local dealer this week, or has it normalized? Because the retail premium picture and the wholesale arbitrage picture do not always move together, and the comment section here has become a genuinely useful real-time sentiment tracker. I read everyone. Let me explain what is actually happening here, because there is a lot of noise around this topic, and most of it conflates things that are genuinely separate. When Shanghai pays more for silver than New York, it creates what traders call an arbitrage opportunity. In plain English, if you can buy silver in New York for $84 and sell it in Shanghai for $86.40, and your shipping and financing costs come in below that $174 gap, you make money on the spread. Simple. And the people who can execute that trade, the bullion banks, the large commercial traders, they are not sitting around discussing it at conferences. They are doing it. The COMEX warehouse data published by the CME confirms the direction of travel. Registered stocks, that is the silver that is actually available and earmarked for delivery against futures contracts, have been under sustained pressure at major depositories including Asahi and JP Morgan. Now, registered inventory moves around all the time. Metal shifts between registered and eligible categories regularly. I am not here to tell you the vaults are empty. They are not. But the direction of movement matters, and right now the direction is outward. Here is where it gets more complicated. And this is the part that I think most coverage of this topic either skips or gets wrong. COMEX open interest right now sits at 112,794 contracts. Each contract represents 5,000 ounces of silver. Do that math, and you are looking at paper claims totaling roughly 563 million ounces of silver. Now, before you panic, and I want to be really clear about this, open interest is not the same as delivery demand. Think of it like counting every person in a stadium and panicking because the concession stand only has limited hot dogs. Not everyone in that stadium is trying to buy a hot dog at the same time. Most of those contracts will roll, expire, or be settled in cash before anyone asks for a single physical ounce. That is how futures markets work and have always worked. The CFTC publishes the Commitment of Traders report every Friday, and the managed money positioning data in that report tells you a lot more about actual delivery pressure than the raw open interest headline number. So let us be precise about what the risk actually is. It is not that 560 million ounces are about to be demanded tomorrow. The risk is that if physical withdrawal from registered stocks continues at the current pace while open interest stays elevated, the buffer between paper claims and available physical metal gets thinner, and thinner buffers mean less room for error when something unexpected happens. If you know someone who has been watching silver this week and trying to make sense of the moves, share this video with them right now. This breakdown took time to put together, and the people who need it most are probably not searching for it. Now, and this is where I want to stop and be genuinely honest with you for a moment, because this is the kind of thing most channels skip. There is a very real counter-argument to the dramatic version of this story, and I think you deserve to hear it. The Shanghai premium we are looking at is 2.05%. That is meaningful, but premiums at this level can reflect factors other than pure physical scarcity. Local financing costs, import duties, market structure differences between the Shanghai Futures Exchange and COMEX. All of these can contribute to a premium without necessarily signaling that Western vaults are about to run dry. The Silver Institute and independent analysts have consistently noted that apparent supply deficits in the silver market have been running for multiple years without triggering a delivery crisis. So why not this time either? That is a fair question. The honest answer is, I do not know. Nobody does. What I can tell you is what the current conditions look like, and what they look like right now is a market operating with less cushion than it had 12 months ago. A deficit is not a countdown timer. It is more like gravity. Gravity does not tell you the exact day something falls. It tells you the direction of the pressure. And if that pressure builds for multiple years across multiple fronts simultaneously, the system becomes more sensitive to shocks it would have absorbed easily before. Let me bring in a data point that has not been getting enough attention in the coverage I have seen. The London Bullion Market Association, the LBMA, tracks vault activity in London, which is the other major hub for physical silver alongside COMEX. When Shanghai premiums rise and Western arbitrage flows accelerate, London vaults feel it too, not just New York. The LBMA publishes monthly vault data, and the direction of that data over the past several quarters has been consistent with what we are seeing in the COMEX registered numbers. For UK viewers, and I know a significant part of this audience is holding silver in SIPPs or through UK dealers, the LBMA data is your equivalent of the CME warehouse report, and it is worth bookmarking the monthly release. The pattern across both London and New York is the same. Metal is moving. The question is pace, not direction. All right. Let me show you how I am actually thinking about this week using the 3 lanes framework. This is how I separate what is noise from what actually matters. Lane 1, the paper market. Futures positioning right now shows open interest at 112,000 contracts as we discussed. What I am watching specifically is how that open interest behaves into the next delivery window. If open interest starts declining sharply without a corresponding price drop, that tells me longs are rolling rather than standing for delivery, which is the normal, non-dramatic outcome. If open interest holds elevated while registered inventory continues declining, that is the setup that warrants closer attention. The CFTC Commitment of Traders report on Friday will give us the managed money net positioning update, and that number is the one I am focused on. Lane 2, the physical market. The Shanghai premium at 2.05% is the headline, but the number underneath it that I find more interesting is the pace of COMEX registered stock movement over the past 30 days as reported in the CME Daily Warehouse Report. Not the absolute level, the rate of change. A slow, steady drain is very different from an accelerating drain, and right now I am watching for any acceleration. Lane 3, macro. The dollar index is the variable most capable of disrupting the arbitrage dynamic quickly. A sharp dollar rally makes dollar-denominated silver more expensive for Asian buyers and can compress or eliminate the premium almost overnight. The Federal Reserve's next communication is the macro trigger to watch alongside the spread itself. In 15 years watching currency and commodity markets, the times I have seen all 3 lanes align in the same direction, even briefly, have historically been some of the most significant moments in these markets. I'm not saying we are there today, I'm saying it is worth knowing what to watch for. When the paper lane is holding elevated open interest, while the physical lane is showing registered stock outflows, and the macro lane has dollar uncertainty, the historical pattern has been increased volatility in both directions. That is a framework, not a forecast. You decide what to do with it. Here is the one thing I am personally watching this week. One thing. This Friday's CFTC Commitment of Traders report, specifically the managed money net long position in silver. Last week, that number was elevated enough to suggest speculative length is still in this market. If this Friday's report shows a significant reduction in managed money net longs, say a drop of 15% or more from last week's level, while the Shanghai premium simultaneously narrows back below 1.5%, that combination tells me the arbitrage trade is unwinding, and pressure on registered stocks will ease near term. If instead managed money holds or increases, and the premium stays above 2% into next week, that is the combination that tells me this situation has not resolved, and the next delivery window becomes genuinely interesting to watch. This is my one call for the week. John, FX Insider. On record. I will be back next video to tell you exactly what happened. No edits, no excuses. That is the only way this works. Now here is where I want to be completely straight with you, because this is where most channels pick a side and run with it. I am not doing that today. Here is what needs to happen for the optimistic picture to develop. The Shanghai premium sustains above 2% through the next major COMEX delivery window. Registered stocks continue declining at the current or accelerating pace. Managed money positioning stays elevated or grows. If those three things happen together, the probability of a genuine delivery squeeze narrative taking hold in mainstream financial media increases significantly, and that narrative itself becomes a price catalyst independent of the physical fundamentals. Prices could push through 90 and potentially test that 95 level that is being discussed in some analyst circles. Now here's the cautious picture. The dollar catches a bid on any stronger than expected U.S. economic data. The Federal Reserve signals rates stay higher for longer. Asian industrial demand softens even slightly, compressing the premium back below 1.5%. The arbitrage trade unwinds. Longs roll their positions rather than standing for delivery. Registered stocks stabilize, and silver gives back a meaningful portion of the recent move, potentially testing that $80 area. Both are genuinely possible right now. The premium is real, the inventory pressure is real, but so is the dollar risk and so is the historical pattern of these squeezes resolving more quietly than the headlines suggest they will. Your job is not to pick one scenario and emotionally commit to it. Your job is to watch which conditions are actually developing in real time. The market will tell you. You just have to be watching the right things when it does. Before we close, the disclaimer you need to hear. And I mean it. Everything in this video is educational content based on publicly available information. Currency Insider does not provide financial advice, investment advice, tax advice, or legal advice. Nothing here should be construed as a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any asset. Past market behavior is not a guarantee of future results. Always consult a qualified financial professional before making investment decisions. Before the two questions, if you got value from this today, the like button takes 1 second, and it genuinely helps this channel reach people who are trying to navigate these markets without all the noise. Hit it now. I want to ask you two things, and I genuinely want your answers, not just a thumbs up. First, are you currently holding physical silver? And if so, are you seeing any change in dealer premiums or availability in your area this week? UK or US? I want to hear from both sides of the Atlantic. Second, looking at the 3 lanes framework we just ran through, paper, physical, macro, which lane do you personally think is carrying the most risk right now, and why? Drop both answers below. The comment section here becomes a real-time sentiment tracker, and I read every single one. Subscribe, because next week we are going directly into the CFTC data, and I am going to show you exactly how to read the Commitment of Traders report yourself. Not just the headline number, but the disaggregated breakdown that most people never look at. That is a skill worth having, and I will walk you through the whole thing. And if someone in your life is watching their stack right now and feeling confused about what is happening, share this with them. That is the whole point of this channel. This is Currency Insider. Know the market. Protect your currency.